When you take the Ohio State job, the job description just has one requirement, and it's beat that team up north. And Ryan Day, in 4 seasons at Ohio State, has a losing record to that team up north. It's inexcusable. Urban Meyer in his career against that team up north, 7-0. He lost big games against Michigan State, Purdue, Iowa, Penn State. Urban Meyer had his fair share of bad losses in the Big Ten regular season. No one in his 7-year career at Ohio State, nobody ever called for his job. You don't know why? 7-0. It's the only requirement at Ohio State. Harbaugh, I won't even say it. Harbaugh at that team up north. He started out 0-5 every year, calls for his head, even though that was an inferior program for the time. Now he's won 2 in a row and he's on top of the world. Their season's a success now because they beat Ohio State. That's their only job. They could lose the Big Ten championship. They could lose first round of the playoffs. It doesn't matter. That team up north, their job is complete. They have done their job for the season. And if you're an Ohio State fan, more importantly, if you're on the Ohio State athletic board, you got to decide moving forward, what do you do with Ryan Day? Because there have been a very fair number of people calling for Ryan Day's job. And, you could say that's ludicrous or you could say it's fair. Ryan Day threw 50 games at Ohio State, 45-5. That's a winning percentage of 900. That's unheard of. Nick Saban, he's just below 900. So a winning clip at 900, it's phenomenal. It's a job well done. But when 2 of those losses in back-to-back seasons are to your arch rival, and it's the biggest rivalry in all of sports, it's inexcusable. It's unacceptable. It cannot happen. Ryan Day has to do a better job getting his team prepared for the game. Ideally, this is like an Alabama-Georgia situation from a year ago. Hopefully, those 2 teams get a rematch in the playoffs. As furious as I am with everything that happened in the Ohio State game, that is still one of the best. That is a top 4 team in the country. And I hope they get another crack at that team up north. But it's an awful job by Ryan Day. Under Luke, or no, I'm sorry, not under Luke Fickell, under Urban Meyer and Jim Tressell's tenure at Ohio State, 18 years. 18 years between 2 coaches. They had less losses against that team up north than Ryan Day did. It's inexcusable. It's unacceptable. That is the only job on your contract. You have to beat that team. And Ryan Day, and of the last 4 Ohio State coaches, including himself, Jim Tressell, Urban Meyer, and interim Luke Fickell, all 3 of them are from Ohio. They all understand the rivalry better than anybody. Ryan Day's not from Ohio. He's an Eastern Coast guy. He did not understand the rivalry, and he's won it too. And it's a failure on Ryan Day's part. He is a failure as a head coach, sadly, right now at Ohio State. And until he gets a winning record against that team up north, he is going to be known as a failure in Columbus.
Yeah, no, Jack nailed a lot of that. One of my biggest takeaways, I was one of the people calling for Ryan Day's head immediately after the game. I said he should have been fired on the field. He shouldn't have been allowed to leave. After a day to think about it, fire, no, but his seat is getting hotter. Like, I'm sorry. I don't care if you're 900. You have to beat that team. Like, that is a team that you just have to beat year in and year out. Like, it's honestly, it's unacceptable. And going into watching that game, it felt like he coached scared. Like, it felt like he wasn't playing to win, which is really, really frustrating. Like, CJ Stroud in that press conference, I felt like CJ Stroud did everything he could. Like, I can't blame a college kid for losing that game. It's not his fault. It's not Stroud's fault. I put it on Day. So I think Ryan Day has to look himself in the mirror and say, and just has to make some changes.
The one thing I didn't like about CJ Stroud's press conference was when asked about the upcoming bowl game, if he would play, he said something like, I'll be able to tell in the weeks to come, and I look forward to going back out there and avenging our loss as a team, even if he's not going to end up playing. And I know it's a huge injury concern, which is a little less now with NIL, especially since he's in the top echelon of earners. But today was brutal. I had to wear a Michigan jersey. It was a child size large. So not only could I not breathe, but I had that disgusting filth on me the entire day. I was not one of the people calling for Ryan Day's head, even though when he was initially hired, I was one of the people that said I'd rather still have Urban Meyer. I don't know why. He's just always been my favorite coach. if Ryan Day goes out and loses again next year, then his seat is really warm to the point where it becomes a must win next year. And if he doesn't win it the year following, if he goes 0-2 these next couple ones, I think that he's in trouble and he should be fired. So that was really all. They covered it. Just got to be better. It didn't look like a team that prepared 364 days for that game.
I'll just say this. We had 3 unsportsmanlike penalties in that game. They had 0. I think that kind of just tells you the discipline on both teams and how that transpired. I think just looking back at the most successful Ohio State teams the past 10 years, they always had, like, throwing the ball has always been we produce receivers and use their quarterbacks and throw the ball quite well. But you look at 2014 with Zeke winning the championship, and you look at the period with J.K. Dobbins was carrying the load. We always had a running back you could depend upon to get a lot of yards, and that was a good part of our offense. And this year, it just seemed like, I don't know, we really didn't establish that. And then in this game, we decided, like, this be the game we're going to run the ball and not throw it deep. And that was your identity all year. So I think it's more of an identity crisis of what our offense is. Because honestly, the defense, second half was horrible, but you take away the 2 mistakes they made in the first half, I think the point total goes down. You go into the half up like 2 scores, I think it's better. But yeah, overall, it's just disappointing.
Why was Dallin Hayden not playing?
Oh, Hunter, I had the same question. They started Chip Trainum. Oh, yeah, he's talented, but last year he was a linebacker in the Pac-12, and he had no snaps through the first 11 games of the year. It made no sense why he was carrying the ball as much as he did. Don't get me wrong, he had a good game. He looked fine. But Dallin Hayden the week before had 150 rushing yards. Mayan Williams was the best running back on that roster.
Yes.
I don't understand what Ryan Day's thought process is there. Why Mayan Williams and Dallin Hayden, they're not getting the chunk of the carries. And then same thing, like Ryan Day tried, like, to his credit, he tried to establish a running game, but he tried to establish it on second down and not first. The amount of times in that game, he would throw it on 1st and 10, incompletion, run it on second down and get to like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and then we wouldn't know what to do. And we never threw it to Marvin Harrison. He got like 2 targets, he caught both balls. The game plan just made no sense offensively. And then defensively, Michigan ran 5 plays, and those 5 plays accounted for 349 yards. The other 55 plays, 180 yards. That's just a ginormous difference. And in games like this, it can't happen. There's no excuse for it, and it cannot happen. And those 5 plays are the difference of your entire season. Those 5 plays don't happen, boom, you're in Indy right now playing Purdue for a conference championship. And now you're going 2 years without one, and Michigan's going to win 2 in a row and go back to the college football playoff.
What's weird to me is, like, I feel like our offense is perfectly suited for you. If you run on first down, you go, especially against Michigan, against really good teams, you can go power run game. You force them to stop you, and then if you get man coverage on the outside against Fleming, Harrison, and Jigba, if he was there, or whatever we have, our tight end, then you're golden. Because that's what Michigan had. We went to stop the run, and they had man coverage across the board, and they were able to take advantage. If we had man coverage with those receivers, we're scoring constant touchdowns. So I just think there's a lack of offensive strategy that we just got out to it with.